The Jim and Terry Show coming to you from the Hobbit Hole Studio in Bob Cajun, where there may be smoke, but definitely not any fire. And that's between our ears, the smoke.
Where there's smoke, there's fire, Terry.
Okay, well, you had an interesting discussion, and we'll kick off things Canadian and political with this. Go ahead.
Well, I'm fortunate to have a life where I run into all kinds of people, all kinds of different beliefs, and all kinds of different political influences. Yeah. And there was a conversation the other day with a friend of mine who he said somehow we went, just like we were talking about maybe Trump, and we all of a sudden bounced over to the Liberals. And apparently, Trudeau, especially, and the Liberal Party are setting all those fires in Quebec and across the country that's causing such havoc. They're doing it, and the reasoning was beyond me. I said, what are you talking about? He says, well, in those northern communities, and this is something that I heard 25 years ago, that they pay locals to fight the fires. And so if there's no fires, no one's getting paid. I said, okay, let's just say if that's true. I'm saying it could be. There could be the odd guy go out and light a fire because they want to make some money. Sure, I can see that. That's in all communities. There's people that are going to take advantage of government programs. And so if they need volunteer firefighters and they pay them and there's no fires, easy, set a fire. But that's not Trudeau setting a fire. And that's not the Liberals paying for people to set fires. That's people taking advantage of a situation. And the fires need to be fought. So there's no getting through the brain. It's no, Trudeau's lighting those. I said, for what purpose? He's not making any money. The government's losing money. Why would he do that? I said, I can buy into the fact that someone's going to take an advantage of a government program, but that's right off the wall that he's doing that. But that's where it sticks. And I saw that come up on YouTube and all the rest of it. And I remember back 25 years ago, and I don't even know who was in power. They said the same thing. The indigenous people are up there setting fires because they're making money. And I thought then, well, that's possible. Sure, the odd guys out there may be doing that. We have people setting fires just for the fun of it in California.
Yes.
Just for the fun of it. So sure that could happen, but the government's not paying for that.
Oh,
that's just dumb.
So how these people get away with these allegations without evidence? And this is where I draw the line. Yeah. You have the right to say whatever you want and to believe whatever you want, but you have to prove it with evidence. So show me the evidence. And until you do, take a big cow-lick grain of salt. The big things they put in the
I know the blue block.
Yes, there you go.
That would be a great
suck
name
on one of those before you start spreading your conspiracy theories.
That'd be a great name for something like the blue block.
The blue block. The
blue salt block.
Okay, let's specifically go on the anti-Trudeau
so what do you think?
stuff.
Well, before we go there, the whole Paul Bernardo thing. You've heard that, right?
Yeah, well, that's part of all of this anti-Trudeau. So let's dig up all the stuff that's going on, and I don't mind chatting about it. I have my own persuasions on these things. So which one do you want to start with? The fires being lit by Trudeau?
Oh, we're still there? Go ahead.
No,
I don't want to jump around.
I debunked that whole thing.
Well, of course, that is nonsense.
Yes.
Now, maybe a whole new program, but I don't think it started with Liberals at all. You need people to fight fires.
Of course
you need that. And if people need jobs and money...
Well, I'll give you an example of Alberta, who cut the emergency services budget, resulting in the loss of, I'm not going to quote the number of firefighters, to fight fires, and all of a sudden, Northern Alberta has firefighters, and there's no one there to be parachuted in and do the mitigation right on the scene. They can't drop them in. These are highly trained individuals. Well, they didn't want to keep the budget. That's Danielle Smith. That's UCP. That's doing what conservatives usually do, which is cut the taxes by cutting the budget. And that's
you see what happened there, Terry, is when they cut the budget, the people of Alberta went out and lit the fires. in order
get the
to have
budget.
their political
That's
point.
that's their
So we can
twisted
go
logic.
all over the place on why and things end up that way.
Yeah.
Probably a bad time to cut those budgets with the fact that everything seems to be getting warmer and catching on fire faster.
But then the conservative point of view, going back to even the days of Stephen Harper, is to deny climate change. And how
Do
many
you think
offices?
they still feel that way?
Yeah, I still think so. I think PP is still Pierre Poilievre. I use that disrespectfully, and I shouldn't, because everyone deserves respect and not name calling. Pierre Poilievre is still, he's questioning climate science, and the Conservatives as a group do not have any policy of climate change, which is why they attacked Trudeau, because he was elected to deal with climate change, and I think he's doing it. We're moving our energy. We are in an energy transition, getting off fossil fuel, which unfortunately has a big economic impact on the West, where the oil
You can
rigs
see
are.
the West Point. Okay. you can see
You're bringing the military in, are you?
Yeah, you can see their point. I mean, they're petroleum producing provinces,
Yeah.
and their economy depends on it. So you can see that. Sometimes I do think people just cling on to the climate thing just because it's popular now. I don't know. I don't follow it as much as you would, for absolute sure. But the one thing I do follow, no matter if it's right, no matter if it's left, I always think, okay, what are you looking at?
That's right and wrong.
Yeah, well, what are you looking at? Like who
Who stands to gain?
Well, the little Smiths of this and a little that. People see we're in a bad time in the development of the human race, I think, where maybe we should go into AI, but where anybody can say anything about anything, and it's in your face constantly. So
Social media.
if those who want to go that way go, I've said it a million times, but it's true. I'm sort of the same way. There's certain things I ignore, certain things I look into, and I'm interested in Revelation, the end, and all this. So I look to that. I'm not really into Muslims and anything, and I don't look into that. So
pick
it's
and
only
choose.
you pick and choose, but there's so much information if you decide to go down that road. You know what I mean? So much information.
But just to go old school on you, there's always been a public library.
Well, true.
Books have always been published.
That is true.
And there was no censorship really up until relatively
But you had to
recently.
get up, go check out a book,
Yes,
and
you
all the rest.
did.
Now you sit on your couch and there's an ad on TV, and you get your phone and bang, there's something. You can go down that rabbit hole all day. Something I'm starting to struggle with. Like I see something that catches my eye, and I could be there wasting 15 minutes of my
Eye candy
day.
for you takes you madly off in all directions. A little ADHD.
Well, sometimes I like the police chases.
Police chases.
Well, yeah, and my phone knows it. Don't forget, AI knows what I like. So if I watch one through, then there might be, something about building an apartment.
For setting fires.
For 10 seconds, and the next one's another police chase. You know what I mean? And then the next one's another police chase, and then there's someone who collects teddy bears.
You
then
are
there's a
read
police chase.
so easily like a good book.
Oh yeah. Well, I know, but that's my point. My point
Okay.
being, if you're into climate change, there's so much information that's going to back up your belief. If you're not into it, they can get so much information. Maybe not scientific, Terry. I'm not even saying that.
Yeah.
But people that are going to say it's all a con, it's all this, it's all that. It's the same with aliens and everything else. You can go down one road, they're hateful beings. You go down another one, they're angelic
We'll
beings.
get to aliens and AI in a future one. This is about Canada and Canadian politics.
Is
and
it?
The question,
I kind of took it off
I
that,
know
didn't
you
I?
sure did. I mean, you're off base. You ran off the base path. You're out.
Well, Trudeau did know about Bernardo being moved. And
Okay,
nobody told the victims.
I'm not sure that the government has any influential, and this is the difference between Canada and the United States. Trump tried to influence his DOJ, tried to own them. They're his DOJ. The military is his military. In Canada, there should be a respectful distance between the executive branch, which is Trudeau and his policy-making cabinet, and the Department of Justice. There's got to be distance. He got into hot water because he started to interfere in l'SNC-Lavalin and their foreign bribery scandal, and he didn't want that looked at because that was a big corporation in his riding. So, fair point. Let's criticize that. That's good. But talking about Bernardo being moved and not informing anybody, I'm not sure that that's his bailiwick. That's the Minister of Justice.
Yeah, I really don't think it's his job.
The Minister of Justice did resign over that, if I'm not mistaken.
He did?
I'm thinking so, but don't quote me on that.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is the sad thing is whoever decided on this, they picked the time that actually one of the victims was abducted and murdered right now, Father's Day.
Yeah, so it's an anniversary.
Anniversary, so it was just horrible planning.
It's
horrible
a bad
everything.
look.
Yeah. Real bad look. But I agree with you. Some things aren't going to make it to the Prime Minister.
No.
He's busy dealing with China and other things. You know.
Okay, let's speak of China. And Pierre Poilievre, among others, wants China investigated. So we had a special rapporteur, and the name was David Johnson, former Governor General, appointed by Harper to investigate some conservative things. And again, I thought it was a good look. Use the guy that the Conservatives already approved of and already used and say, okay, well, let's use him now. And all of a sudden, it's, well, you're bad because he's an old buddy and a golfing buddy cottager.
He is that, too.
He is all those things, but he's also astoundingly appropriate and insightful and has done a good service to Canada. Don't throw him under the bus, but that's what Pierre Poilievre does to a lot of good people.
Well, this is what's happened to politics and everything, and if it was reversed, trust me, the Liberals would be throwing him under the bus as well. It's just the corruption of our... There's no loyal opposition anymore, Terry. It's just freaking opposition against everything.
We do need opposition in our bicameral system. We have a Liberal government and we have an opposition. We have a ruling party and those who challenge.
Doesn't mean you have to oppose everything that's done.
No, you don't.
That's not what that means.
And in fact, it means just to have a careful look. You know, there's an eagle on one side of the House of Commons and there's an owl on the other side. One's the wisdom of governing. The other is looking carefully at the policies and making sure more people are lifted up by policies than put down. We didn't even get to the heart of the matter, but
carry on if you want.
We'll carry on, as we always do in the Jim and Terry Show, with opinion.
So we're going into part 2.
We are. Well, we'll see where we go. Bye bye for now.